side to be exact.
Yeah.
Yeah, she won.
And who were the
She
judges?
beat off the judges, Anna Trapido, Kennedy
yes.
Cabo Mabe,
Yeah.
Mavis, Anim Mensapa, Ghana, and then we had Chef Omo Oyebola, Nigerian. So 4 judges, outstanding
Brilliant.
judging. Was a very tough.
And did they
tough.
have to, was it what they cooked the jollof rice with, or was it just plain jollof rice?
Look, they first of all, obviously, they added a lot of condiments to the jollof to make
Yeah.
it, but they also brought some protein. They brought different types of sauces
Brilliant.
in terms of the presentation. So it was a display of their mastery of not only jollof but also other things that accompanied the
Yeah.
jollof.
Absolutely.
Protein, vegetables,
Okay,
and
let's do it.
many other condiments on display.
Ronnie Jordan and Tinseltown, that's a beautiful track for us here on this Saturday morning. Lots of questions, lots of choice songs that have really made it a complete delight today. So, it's time for feedback. And today we're unleashing the Jollof Wars. What is Jollof rice? It is endemic to West Africa, to also Nigeria, Senegal, Ghana, Sierra Leone, Liberia, the Gambia, and Cameroon, and they all entered a competition in South Africa, in Midrand, to see who could cook the very best jollof rice with the condiments, but also with great other foods as well. We're going to find out a little bit more about it. I mean, as someone says, jollof rice is to West Africa as to what paella is to Spain, and biryani is to India, and risotto is to Italy. It's always very hard to make that perfect dish. Adetunji Omatola is a founder of the Jollof Wars in South Africa. Adetunji, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Michelle, for having me, and good morning to your listeners.
So, the Jollof Wars, how long have they been going, and what are they?
Okay, look, first of all, jollof rice originates from Senegal. So that's the source. There's a place called St. Louis. About 5 centuries ago, I believe it was in the 14th century, there was this lady that was cooking for the colonial, I think it was a governor, and they normally use barley to make this dish, and they ran out of barley, and she decided to use rice, and she found that the rice was a very good agent for getting things sticking on.
I'm just thinking about what you said. In the 14th century, it may not have been a colonial person she was cooking for. It may very well have been someone of her own tribe in any one of the countries.
Absolutely, but that's the folklore around it.
Okay.
So basically, so that's how they got the rice to be used as, you know, that's how it came about, the rice, instead of barley. But also it comes from a tribe in Senegal called Jollof.
That's right.
Now, when you look at the composition of the cooking that happened, you had countries, various countries, and those countries you mentioned earlier. So Nigeria was there represented, Ghana was represented, and also we had a South African, but they cooked a version of biryani. But
with jollof rice?
Yes, they came, they were guests, they were celebrity guests, so they added a twist to it, and they cooked a version of biryani. But jollof basically is rice, and for countries like Ghana, they use basmati rice. Nigerians use long grain rice, and in
so
Senegal,
jollof is not a type of rice. Jollof is how you cook the rice.
Yes, is how you cook the rice, and it's gotten that name jollof from those makeups, the tomatoes, the onions, all of those things, and the color, essentially most of the time, because there's a lot of tomato paste that you use to arrive at that color.
Who was judging?
The judges were basically one South African food anthropologist, Anna Trapido.
Yes,
There's also Kennedy Cabo Mabe, who's based in Attridgeville. He's a lifestyle supremo. He's eaten jollof in about 10 countries, and he's proud of that. And we also had a lady who is an events and talent manager from Ghana. She organizes the Ghana Festival. And then we had a chef from Nigeria who's got a jollof spice of her own. that is sold in one of the major retailers. So yeah, that was the judging panel. So it was a very tough competition.
What makes for a great jollof meal?
Look, I think the aroma is very important. Your nose has to be stimulated. Of course, the taste is the most important.
Yeah.
Because obviously there's what they call a jollof taste. Should be able to feel that there's tomatoes there, there's ginger, there's butter, there's bay leaves, there's all sorts of condiments that have been thrown in there. And the beauty of it is because of the way it's prepared, because the rice is introduced at a later stage, and in the Nigerian example is smoked and burnt. That old flavor that comes out after 2 hours being in the pot and still there at low temperature, it's almost like being in paradise when you take the first taste of the jollof. I call it the jollification.
So, Adetunji, were the judges in unanimity, or were they arguing and debating and tasting and retasting? What was the general consensus?
Yeah, there was a lot of debates because obviously people came there with different nuances of their jollof expertise.
Yes.
Some were chefs, some were not chefs, but they knew so much about jollof. I mean, if you're a Ghanaian, you know so much about jollof.
Yeah.
And I believe that a Ghanaian would have tasted Nigerian jollof and vice versa. So there was a lot of banter, there was a lot of engagement, there were also interviews of the judges while they were tasting the food. So it was very interactive.
Yeah.
And I've got all the notes and I could see scribbling, and some people got 6.5 in one category, some people got 8. But all in all, of the 4 contestants, none got less than 70%.
Wow.
And they were, it was about 7, 10, yeah. So there were about 28 categories that they had to be judged. So 4 judges, 7 categories each. So that's 28. And you could get 10 marks, so 280 marks.
So we have to go to a break, but when we come back, we'll just close off because I'd like to hear who the winner was in the final outcome. Let's go to the break.
On a high note, with final analysis on Sunday night. Tune in to Final Analysis every Sunday night and stand a chance to win a hamper worth 10,000 rand, courtesy of Theodora and SABC Sport. Final Analysis, the premium wrap-up show, giving you match highlights, final scores, post-game reactions, expert analysis, and sport news weekend roundup of local and international arena. Catch Final Analysis every Sunday at 8 p.m. on SABC Sport on TTT Channel 4 and 10 p.m. on SABC 3. Also available everywhere for everyone, always on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Hashtag We've Got It All. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
Okay, so we close off on this, and then we have to go straight to Cara Black, eh? Yeah. We've got the song, hey? The song at the end. Yeah, okay.
You'll get 3 seconds of better voice to bring the night in.